History of Greek art. Greek art began in the Cycladic and Minoan civilization and gave birth to Western classical art in the subsequent geometric, archaic, and classical periods, with further developments during the Hellenistic period. Ancient Greek art properly emerged during the 8th century BCE as things calmed down around the Aegean period. Examples of Greek art is their temple architecture, which has three main architectural styles in ancient Greece: Doric, Ionic, and Corinthian, which are names derived from the Greek regions where they were most commonly used. Ancient Greek sculpture is the main surviving type of ancient Greek art as, with the exception of painted ancient Greek pottery, almost no ancient Greek painting survives. Ancient Greek pottery. The clay to produce pottery was readily available throughout Greece, although the finest was Attic clay, with its high iron content giving an orange-red color with a slight sheen when fired, and the pale buff of Corinth. Greek painting. Greek painting has survived mainly as pottery decoration. The few surviving Greek murals are remarkable, however, as they exhibit significant advances in techniques of realism. The heart of Greek culture was Athens. This was true even in the Greek Dark Age, during which Athens, like all other Greek settlements, had yet to grow into a city. That was all for Greek art.
Now, let us proceed to the proponents of Egyptian and Greek art. First, with the Egyptian artist, Habib Gorgi. Habib Gorgi belonged to the pioneering group of Egyptian modern art at the beginning of the century. Gorgi postulated that the Egyptian genius that had brought forth the pharaonic, Coptic, and Islamic art traditions was still present in the being of modern Egyptians, as they were interacting with the same environment, society, climate, and genetic factors. Next is Armin Agop. Armin Agop, who combined contemporary and ancient Egyptian art, known for his abstract minimalist sculptures. He uses black granite and basalt as his main mediums of expression. Last for the Egyptian artists, Yusuf Nabel. Yusuf Nabel is an Egyptian artist and photographer who had a contemporary take on color tinting on Egyptian art. Now, let's proceed to the Greek artists. The first one on my list is Stephen Antonakos. Greek-born American Stephen Antonakos was a sculptor known for his abstract sculptures, often incorporating neon. His artworks were included in the most important international exhibitions. Next is Krisa Vardeya Mavro Mikali, also professionally known as Krisa, was a Greek-American artist who worked in a wide variety of media, an American art pioneer in light art and luminous sculpture, known for her neon, steel, aluminum, and acrylic glass installations. Last of the Greek artists on my list is Yanis Konelis. Is a Greek-Italian sculptor known to be a pioneer in the Arte Povera movement, which means that Arte Povera was a radical Italian art movement from the 1960s to 1970s, whose artists explored a range of unconventional processes and non-traditional everyday materials.
Greetings, I am going to present Egyptian art characteristic and Greek art characteristic. Egyptian art characteristic consists such clothes, their clothes made of white linen. By spinning the stem, fibers of the flax plant, linen is produced. Egyptian dance. They danced to perform for royalty. It was common practice in ancient Egypt to train dancers to the highest level of performance. When performing for royalty, they wear a lot of colorful jewelry along with beads in their hair and on their head. Egyptian music. They use percussion, wine, drums, rattles, and bells. The organization and arrangement of music and musician was very organized. Symbol. Egyptian symbol represent their life. And now I am going to discuss Greek art characteristic. Greek ornament pattern. It is a decorative border constructed from a continuous line. The ancient Greeks considered this pattern to be one of their most significant symbols when it transform into unity and infinity. Greek mosaic. Many were found at Olynthus. Black and white stones were mixed to create earlier mosaics. Greek culture. Few culture from the time of the ancient Greek still exist today. Many sculptures were nude. The Greeks saw beauty in the naked human body.
Artist of ancient Egypt, Imhotep. Imhotep is believed to be the architect of the Pyramid of King Djoser, which is the second king of the third dynasty of ancient Egypt. Imhotep is also recognized for developing the technique of stone-dressed building and the use of columns in architecture. Imhotep is regarded as the first architect in history to be identified by name. Another artist is Thutmose. Thutmose was an ancient Egyptian sculptor. He was known as the king's favorite and the master of works, the sculptor Thutmose. He was at his peak around 1350 BC and is believed to have served during the final years of Egyptian pharaoh Akhenaten's reign as the official court sculptor. The Nefertiti bust is believed to be the work of Thutmose. Artist from ancient Greek art, Agatharchus. Agatharchus was a self-taught painter who lived in the 5th century BC. He brought perspective and illusion to the world and created the art of scene painting. Agatharchus was the first known painter to have incorporated a realistic perspective on a large scale within his paintings. Apollodorus. Apollodorus was one of the most influential painters of Greece in the 5th century BC, and most of his paintings revolved around the Greek gods and goddesses. Phidias. Phidias was a Greek sculptor, painter, and architect. According to his peers, Phidias was the most famous of all Greek sculptors. His statue of Zeus at Olympia was one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world.
What is Egyptian art? Ancient Egypt art refers to art produced in ancient Egypt between the 6th millennium BC and the 4th century AD, spanning from prehistoric Egypt until the Christianization of Roman Egypt. It includes paintings, sculptures, drawings on papyrus, jewelry, ivories, architecture, and other art. The Great Sphinx of Giza is a limestone statue of reclining sphinx. The Great Sphinx was created around 2500 BC for the pharaoh Khafre, the builder of the second pyramid at Giza. It is among the world's largest sculptures. It can be found at Giza Plateau, west bank of the Nile, in Giza, Egypt. The Narmer Palette. The Narmer Palette is a ceremonial engraving depicting the first dynasty, King Narmer, defeating his enemies and uniting Upper and Lower Egypt into one kingdom. The rectus side of the plate is one complete cohesive of Narmer with his war, gathering about to strike down an enemy captured by the hair, and beneath these 2 feet are 2 men either dead or attempting to escape his wrath. Plus, behind the king, there is a bald servant holding his sandals, while in front of him is the sky god Horus, watching King Narmer's victory and blessing it by bringing more and more enemy prisoners. While the verso side of the palette, King Narmer is portrayed wearing the red wicker war crown of Upper Egypt, which indicated that the Lower Egypt has fallen under his control. Nefertiti bust is a limestone stucco coated limestone produced by Thutmose in 1345 BC. In this sculpture, the great royal wife of the Egyptian pharaoh Akhenaten is being depicted. It is regarded as one of the most copied works on ancient Egypt. So what is ancient Greek? Ancient Greek is all about images of gods, images of heroes, and images of human. The Siren Vase. This vase is painted with this famous scene and it is known as the Siren Vase. It is a wide-necked vessel thought to have been used for serving wine. The Parthenon Acropolis is a resplendent marble temple built between 447 to 432 BC during the height of the ancient Greek Empire. The materials used in the construction was Pentelic marble, except the raised floor where limestone was used. The Mask of Agamemnon is one of the famous gold artifacts from Greek Bronze Age, found at Mycenae in 1876. It was one of several gold funeral masks found laid over the faces of the dead buried in the shaft graves of a royal cemetery.